Hey, welcome. It's another Nooner with me, Dave LaMont, on this Monday, May 9th, 2022. And a few things certainly worth talking about today. Hopefully, this green on green combination works. Didn't think about that when I got dressed this morning. Let's talk for a second about the Miami Heat because in keeping up with this series, I've found out that almost all of you now know more about basketball than Eric Spoelstra does. And I didn't know that because this time of the year right now, Spo's a little hard to get a hold of. So I can just ask you guys or go to Twitter to find out that you know more about the game. Now, naturally, that's a sarcasm cannoli for you, but uh, it all goes into Duncan Robinson's not playing. That seems to be the biggest thing that everyone is in the world of the Heat fans anyway, and even around the league, the people who cover the league are talking about. Duncan Robinson, the three-point specialist, signed. Hey, good for him. All for it. He can afford it, but he's not playing. And what happens in the last couple of games? The Heat are shooting very poorly. They weren't in the first games, and guess what? They won those games. And then Philly got going, and James Harden woke up. And in game 4, and Embiid has played well coming off of getting hurt, and we're tied suddenly. Well, what a surprise. Philadelphia's best players play great, and they win. Boy, stuff is not complicated. Now, Jimmy played a magnificent game in game 4. It just wasn't enough. Why? Because he didn't have enough support. And the shooting. Look it up. Not doing well. So naturally, in the vein of backup quarterback is more popular, whatever. Give me a second. I got to adjust this chair. Thank you. So now the guys play. Then you don't say, so and so was better than Dan Marino. No, nobody said that, or Brady, or Rodgers, or Russell Wilson, and so forth, so forth, so forth. But here, Duncan Robinson has become popular by not doing a single thing. He could be more popular if he does get the chance to play. Now, you're asking, why is he not playing? Well, he doesn't play great defense, and that is a concern this time of year. Eric Spoelstra, like most NBA coaches, in fact, almost all of them, will tighten rotation this time of the year. It's usually 7 to 8. Unless the game is just such a blowout, you can afford to go ahead and give some other guys some playing time and rest some of your regulars. Duncan Robinson has missed that part of the rotation. Had personal issues, whatever those were, they caused him to miss games. Now he's not healthy. That's a problem. So can Duncan Robinson? Well, he can't handle the ball like Kyle Lowry. That's not his. Then we will see Duncan Robinson. Now, if you're Philly, you're waiting for this and you will attack him defensively. And if you play Robinson and Hero together, you've got a defensive issue. But at the same time, you probably have to gamble. That's if they don't shoot well. Again, is that likely? Probably not. We complicate things by thinking too much. And in sports either. But, well, they're not shooting well. Get him in there. Okay, agree. I'll give you that. I'm not saying Spoelstra's 100% right. I'm just saying that he knows more than I do, and he knows more than you. Unless Pat Riley watching. I kind of doubt that. So let's see what they do in game 5 with Duncan Robinson, if anything. If he stays on the bench, then he's clearly fallen out of favor. My gut just tells me I think he'll sneak out there, but only if they don't shoot well. And playing at home. Look, Philly, let's give Philadelphia a little credit. This is the problem that happened. Same with the Panthers and the Capitals. A shocking game 3. Never thought that the Panthers would lose any playoff game as badly as they did. My instinct, just pure gut feeling, things are going to come back and win game 4. If they don't, then the Capitals are right where they don't want to be, up 3-1 in the series. As a lifelong Washington Capitals fan, I can tell you that's usually bad. It's a long history there. But the point is, game 5, best 2 of 3 with 2 in Miami. So that's why you play hard for the number 1 spot. So you can have that advantage. And the advantage is still with the Heat. The problem is, look at Dallas and Phoenix. Dallas kicks their butt 2 games in Phoenix. And now all of a sudden, everyone thinks the Suns are in big trouble. It's a best of 3 series with 2 games in Phoenix. That's why you win those overall titles. Same with the Panthers. If they rally and win game 4 in Washington, then they come home. Game 5, just up the road, best of 3 series, 2 games in Sunrise. It's the whole point of being number 1. So it's easy not to, I don't want to say panic because that makes the fan look dumb, to be irritated, annoyed, upset, whatever the adjective you want to use here. That's cool. I get it. But at the same time, it's still even. You have the advantage. But what it is, it's just the last memory. It's an overreaction. You're frustrated. You think, okay, here we go. We're going to put them away. We're going to go up 3-1, or we're going to take a 2-1 lead if you're Florida. What happened? We suck. We're terrible. Oh, my God. We're never going to win another game. Just because the other team wins 2 games at home. The Heat have never lost a playoff series when they've been up 2-0, which they were. So let's just see. Now, I can understand panicking a bit if they somehow lose game 5. I would agree with that. And Philly's good. You know, if Harden can play like that all the time, then there really are going to be a pain. And Embiid has given him credit. Guy's playing basically with a broken face and is still out there. So something that fans are very reluctant to do is give credit to the other team. It hurts, but it might not be a bad idea here. I think there's more talk about the Grand Prix buildup and the parties than about the race, which, I hate to say it, wasn't very exciting. Max Verstappen wins. It's the 3rd time. We've had 5 races. Only 2 guys have won, which to me doesn't bode well. I would like to see a season where anybody can win, and right now that is not the case. And that 3-second win for Verstappen might as well be, let's say you are on 95 going southbound, and I'm at Broward Boulevard approaching 595, and you're over at Cypress Creek about 5 or 6 exits behind me. That's essentially what that's like in Formula One. And so in all the articles I read, so much was focused on the celebrity. In other words, very Miami. But a massive success, oh, you bet. And they'll get better at it. They'll fix things about the track. And do you really expect a first-time track that was never a track until yesterday or Friday would be perfect? No. Some of these other venues that are out, have been established for years and years and years, it takes time to grow into anything. This event was a smashing success. I wish the race had been more exciting, but to be honest, I'm watching it I watched it on delay. I didn't watch it live. I watched it about the time it ended is when I started watching it. And after Verstappen moved into second like that, I thought, oh, I bet he wins the race. And then he takes over the lead on lap number 9. And about 7 laps later, I checked Twitter to see if he won. He did. And I thought, you know what? This isn't going to be very exciting. And it really wasn't. It didn't, as usual, they do a magnificent job on the broadcast of building up rivalries or races. But it's for like a race for 15th. But it's so well done. I have to tell you something. From a broadcasting perspective, those shows are stunning. Now, it's completely different than when you're watching an Indy 500 or Daytona or all these other, because it's pretty static. You don't have 17 turns. You're just going around in a circle. I should say just going around a circle, but you know what I mean. Comparatively speaking, the racing is completely different. And it allows the people who are directing the race to cut to all these different angles and use drone, all these other things. that you don't really have that in an Indy car or a circular oval, I should say an oval racetrack. It's a built-in advantage, I think, for the F1 broadcast that you can keep this pace going over 57 laps with just constant cutting, constant cutting, constant cutting. And it allows you, if the race for first isn't very exciting, it allows you to tell the other stories of points and Constructors' Cup and all that other stuff in the back of the pack or the middle of the pack. In NASCAR and Indy, the focus is always on the front. But then again, the races sometimes tend to be closer. And so that's okay. It's different. But the spectacle around F1 is what's making it big. And nothing wrong with that. It was an enormous success in South Florida. If you're not down here, if you're watching this from someplace other than my area, I'm just telling you that the dominant conversation this weekend wasn't even the Heat or the Panthers. It was Formula One. So now that's going to move away, and off they go to Barcelona. Boy, that'd be a fun one to go to, wouldn't it? And we are now going to go back to Heat Panthers, and we'll carry it on from there. But yeah, this was a fun weekend. Looking forward to being outpriced of the next 9 Grand Prix that I'll never be able to afford to go. I'll just watch them on TV. But it was fun. There was a buzz. This is an event town, as I've mentioned before. Everybody who's from here knows it. We know what it's like. And this is a place where people want to come and visit. And I get it. It's a success. It's a perfect, really, to me, it fits in with some of the other European locales. It really does. It makes perfect sense. And what do you think Vegas is going to try to do next year when they get a Formula One race? They're going to try to blow Miami out of the fake water. See what I did there? Pretty good for ad-libbing this crap. Something else I've been reading a lot about. It looks like the NCAA is trying to block or slow down the name, image, likeness money that's just flying out, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, people transferring to bigger schools or getting great deals. It's not going to change. And there's something about it I don't like. Now, I also support the NIL idea, but yet I don't like it. Now, that doesn't make any sense at all. You don't have to tell me that. I know. I was thinking about this morning. The NCAA, if they really try to use this angle of, well, we'll just make all these people boosters and we can regulate it, forget it. You're done. You know, a lot of talk about the Supreme Court lately being divided. Well, they were 9-0 on a ruling that basically said the NCAA model is crap. That's not exactly what they said, but that's what they said. I think if somebody tries to sue to stop this, they're just going to get whipped in court, just whooped. So this name, image, likeness thing isn't going away. The problem is it's only, I think what you're going to end up having is the schools with the most money are going to be the winners. But then again, wasn't it always that way to begin with? Alabama's still going to be Alabama. Miami is going to benefit from this. You had the 2 young women from Fresno State who left the Valley to come here because they could make a fortune as basketball players. They're good players too, by the way. They can definitely play. But still, yeah, it's just money being thrown around everywhere. And Miami has really been at the forefront of it. They're smart about it. And other schools are learning, and they're getting smart about it too. I can tell you the Texas basketball team, all 5 starters have deals, car deals, this deal, that deal. And there's something unsavory about it that is for sale. But then again, it's kind of been that way anyway. We just didn't see it. Now that you see the sausage being made, it doesn't look as exciting now, does it? And that's, I think, where I'm at. I've always operated under the fact that I understand that some athletes are delivered by cutting deals. I am aware of that. It didn't happen with our children. I can promise you that. Wished it had. But now it's out in the open. And it should make me feel better. But if for some reason it doesn't, and I'm curious to see in the next few years how this all shakes out and how much the table will be tilted toward the biggest payers. But that's what capitalism is. It's just that college athletes are now finally benefiting from capitalism, where the professionals were before, or the schools were benefiting from it before. Now, that's maybe a crude view of it, and I've only taken one economics class in my entire life. That was my freshman year in college. That's a century ago, literally. So I don't consider myself an expert. That's just a lay opinion on it. But there is something unsavory about the whole thing, but yet it's legal. We'll get used to it. It's new. Anything that's new is always harder to get used to. I'm I'm very ambivalent about change. Sometimes I run to it and embrace it open-heartedly. Other times I don't think I like change. I bet most people are like that. I don't think I'm any different than anybody there. But unless it affects you directly, positively or negatively. But yeah, it's something greasy about it. But don't think that the NCAA is going to come up with some miracle solution to stop it. No, no way. So this is how it's going to be for football and basketball, and I guess other sports, if you're good enough and if the sport draws enough interest. And you can either stay with the sport or decide it turns you off and leave. And I think you'll lose some fans over this. I really do. But I also think a lot of fans are realistic enough to accept this and just hope that their favorite school can come up with something competitive, that an Oklahoma can run with a Miami or a UCLA, or maybe an Illinois can get an NIL deal to keep somebody from going to Columbus or Ann Arbor, and so forth and so on. Are there schools with built-in advantages? Hell yes. I can't imagine how a USC, UCLA, a Miami, the big city schools in nice locations with great weather and some name value, certainly all three of those are named schools, don't have an advantage over, say, Kansas, for example. Landlocked, not as exciting an area to live in, but great basketball program. So they've got that going for them, which is nice. Whereas a Texas ought to have something where, let's say, Mississippi State doesn't. Nothing against Stark Vegas, but let's be realistic. By the way, did you know that in the last draft, the NFL draft, not a single player from Texas was chosen? You want to talk about a precipitous fall. Whew, that's unbelievable. How did getting rid of Mac Brown work out for you guys? Yeah, that's what I thought. But anyhow, so get used to NIL. Hope that your favorite university has something attractive or has somebody behind him who's got money flying out of their pockets and they're willing to spend it on college athletes and their support and get them to endorse products that they may or may not use, but they have to make personal appearances on behalf of. That's where we are. And that's where I'll leave you. So I hope you enjoyed the race. Hope everyone got a chance to celebrate with their wives or grandparents or grandmothers or moms yesterday. We had a lovely day. Shout out to Naked Taco and Ralph Pagano and his staff for our Mother's Day fun, because we love that place. And just my thanks. And I hope everyone did enjoy and had that opportunity to honor, in my case, my wife, and who's a great, great mother. Hopefully you sons called. That'll do it. Talk to you soon.